So if you've been following me either on the blog or on YouTube for over a year, you probably know that planting up the circle garden is one of the more fun things that I do every year, and it's kind of an annual tradition to see what I put in that garden. But if you're new, let me explain the concept of this garden to you. So first of all, the circle garden is not a circle, it's an oval. Why do I call it a circle garden? Because oval garden has no ring to it. So this garden has undergone a couple of transformations over the years, but the last one I did, I made it more formal. And I came up with this. Now it's a little odd to have this kind of semi-formal space in what is otherwise a pretty informal garden, but I was craving a little bit of that formality. I think the structure of this garden is formal, but the planting of it is almost always relatively informal. So this is an oval. It's got 4 paths that lead to the center where I've got an obelisk with a bunch of clematis growing in it. Each segment is hedged with chives. So this is my chive hedge. I love my chive hedge. I created this chive hedge over several years with 2 bunches of chives that I got from another gardener, and I just kept dividing them. So now each segment is outlined by chives. We eat them. Mostly we look at them because nobody could possibly eat this many chives. They will bloom. They're actually budding up now. Once they bloom, they start to get a little straggly, and before they have a chance to set seed, we cut them all the way back, water them. They will reflush within 10 days. We'll get another set of blooms. I'll probably cut them back another time, and then sometimes we get a 3rd bloom on it. So the chive hedge to me adds this kind of fun and funky formality to this sort of odd space. It's also a place where I experiment a lot. So to give you a concept of how I approach planting this, it's an oval. There is a boxwood in the center of each of the segments. Now, since it's an oval, each segment is not equal, but the 2 opposite each other are. From the boxwood, if you line up the boxwood between each other, that creates a triangle. So by doing that, you create 3 segments in each quadrant, if that makes any sense. So what I do is I generally bulk plant each one of those quadrants. So each one of those quadrants has 3 bulk planted plants. Now, there are some shrubs in here. There are some interesting things in here that live here permanently. So one of them is mass planted with bobo hydrangeas. The other one is mass planted with rhubarb. I love rhubarb. I love making rhubarb pie. B, I happen to think that rhubarb is a beautiful plant. Those big bold leaves are so cool and such a good way to bring texture into the garden. I have another area mass planted with David Austin almond roses. And another segment is mass planted with lady's mantle. The rest of them change out every year. And in the past, I have planted just 1 plant in each one of those segments. This year I'm changing it up in a couple of them and creating sort of a matrix of plants in those. So let me walk you around and show you what each segment is going to get. Okay, so this segment is either at the top or the bottom, but this is one of the bigger quadrants. So over on the left there, we've got the bobo hydrangeas. Obviously you see the boxwood there. In this area over here, this used to be Hacknalacloa Allgold. We lost a tree and suddenly this spot became too sunny for Allgold, so I had to move it out. This year I'm going to plant that with Nicotiana Langsdorffii, grown from seed. In fact, you're going to see that as a theme here this year, that a lot of the plants that I'm bringing in here I grew from seed. That's partly because I wanted to, plant things that you can't generally buy, partly because I was looking to save a bit of money, to be honest. And then in front of it, we're going to do a mass planting here of, this is Proven Winners Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Jet Black. So of course, you guys know sweet potato vine. This is going to sprawl all over the place. And planted amongst that is going to be sedums that I overwintered and divided. So those will sort of be this, chartreuse and dark leaf combination. And then the Nicotiana will be a very chartreuse flower. Next to that, we've got this is one of the smaller quadrants. This is where we've got the lady's mantle planted in bulk, and you can see that the lady's mantle is just thinking about blooming. Love lady's mantle. So I always tell you guys how much I love lady's mantle. I do. It's such a good plant. And then since I started doing the circle garden, I have planted HS Flame dahlias in this corner. That's a single dahlia. It gets red flowers with a yellow center. They're just beautiful. The bees and the butterflies love them, and it works, so it stays. In front of there, I'm going to do Thai basil. This doesn't look like much yet. Thai basil gets a beautiful flower on it. So that's what we're growing this for here, although you can also certainly eat it. Grown from seed as well. In fact, I never even bumped these up to 4-inch pots. I just left them in the little starter tray. Moving around the horn, this is probably the quadrant that I'm most excited about. First of all, of course, you see the rhubarb over here. Here we've got the 7 alnwick roses that are looking really healthy so far this year, so that's great. Those are kind of a bright pink flower. And then this is the part that I'm most excited about. So in this part, I'm going to do a combination of 3 flowers, and they're going to be this chartreuse lemony color, silver, and then white. Okay, this is the star of the show. This is Senecio angel wings. This is in the Dusty Miller family. It's actually a type of Dusty Miller. It's got those fuzzy leaves. It feels like felt, actually. And stays almost, I mean, this is almost white. It's so beautiful, big, bold leaves. Then we're gonna combine that with licorice plant. This is the lemon variety. So, you know, quite that chartreusey, almost yellow color foliage on that. And then here we've got a white verbena. Now, I don't actually know what plant this is because I ordered these plants for pickup. And I had ordered the Proven Winners version of this, which is the Superbena White, which is supposed to be quite a broad grower. However, the tags in these suggest these are not those, but they're a white verbena nonetheless, so we'll see how they do in here. I just hope they're aggressive enough to stand up to the rest of this stuff. And then the last segment is going to have Jowie Marella dahlias. Now, this is a dark ball dahlia. I love ball dahlias. I don't have enough dark dahlias in my garden, so this is a way to bring those in. The height on these is published differently in different places, so there's a chance I'm going to have to stake these. I'm hoping they stay around 36 inches. They might get taller. If they get too tall, they might look a little awkward here, but we'll deal with it. The segment in the front is actually going to be planted with something I've never grown before. This is Jewels of Opar. It's actually kind of a succulent. It gets these fabulous little pink ball flowers on it that are real airy. This was sort of planted all over the place when I was at Longwood Gardens, and I just sort of fell in love with it. Now, apparently it is an aggressive reseeder, so I am willing to try that. It's also edible. And you can see that the leaves are a little thicker. They have that sort of succulent look to them. And then the last segment in this back area is going to be a Cantaloupe Mix Calendula, which again doesn't look like much sitting here in the tray, but we're going to have things grow in a bit this year. all done. It always takes a little bit longer than I think it's going to take, but I do enjoy planting this garden. So now this year, a lot of these areas don't look great because I'm starting with such small plants. And you know, that's not the only disadvantage to doing that. I'm going to have to really stay on top of the watering here. I'm going to have to protect these things from all sorts of pests, deer, rabbits, slugs, all of those things. And I'm going to really have to stay on top of that because, you know, one bad night could wipe all this hard work out otherwise. To answer the question that you're probably wondering about the watering is, which I water this area with a hose. That's it. You know, hopefully we get consistent rain and, you know, once we get into summer and I don't have to worry about that much, but this is right by the hose. It's easy to water this area. So it's no big deal. It's a good time hanging out in the garden, right? So you know that we are going to follow this area and see what it looks like, see how all these plants do. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss those posts later in the summer. And we will keep the planting going on here. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me in the garden today. We'll catch you soon.